Oh, she can. Yeah, I didn't like physically. Yeah.
No, I'll just get my cell phone. If she wants.
So, yeah.
Yeah, she can. As long as we can hear her and she can hear them. Can't-
Right?
Oh, shoot.
Thank you, sir. Oh, that's even better.
I was gonna say, I don't know how to spell it.
Is this the order?
Yes.
Thank you.
What's the order based on?
Actually, I'm in this, that already.
Minutes done.
Yeah.
You already know his name.
Huh?
Minutes for this?
Yeah.
Today's night. Well, you do walk on water, so. Oh. Right.
I'm here. Listen, after Friday.
Yeah.
Like, so much longer ago than that.
Did he,
Said after my day. Oh, after
No.
your day. Girl, I don't
Yeah, thanks for knowing.
he could probably hear me. Did you make him get a haircut for this interview or did you just do it on his?
You know, he does that all on his own. He cleans the house on Thursdays.
Wow.
He buys groceries. He only buys what's on the grocery list, which sucks when it comes to something else. Where I think it's on there, like, like.
My dog is much younger than I am. I'll leave it at that. We stop in the next couple of weeks. The dog is actually my wife is very well with.
That's really
Yeah, so.
hold on.
They've nested in my front yard, and literally, they only go that deep in the ground. It's shocked at how they don't burrow deep, it's just right at.
So I have my phone here, so when she's ready.
Okay.
Yeah, just-
That's why I asked. I don't care what happens after.
You know what, as a solicitor,
Basically, right?
somebody said something to me about like vaccinations, I said, I'm never gonna answer that question ever.
Right.
I have no desire. Yeah, oh, there are more.
Yeah, there's-
Oh, so maybe we're explaining it to the beginning, okay. The beginning. I would agree, I think that it is, I mean, I no longer have, no longer have like fear. I can go and manage what will confront me generally.
I'm done here.
Good evening and welcome to the special meeting of the Southwestern School District Board of School Directors. It is the 15th of February and it is approximately 6:06. I apologize for the late start of this meeting, but we did have a need for an executive session to discuss the contract. With that being said, I'm going to ask the other Mummert, Jeff Mummert, to call our roll, please.
Mrs. Berger, Mrs. Boyer.
Here.
Mr. Cosby. Here. Mr. Gazella.
Here.
Mr. Mummert.
Here.
Mr. Plessick.
Here.
Mrs. Weaver.
Here.
Mrs. Jinks.
Here.
7 present, 1 absent.
And Vanessa left early because she was not feeling well. She's going to be listening in via live stream. So she'll be participating later in this part of the meeting. Our process for this evening is that since we've received 6 applications. Every application was date and time stamped. So we're going to proceed in the interview process in the way in which we received them via the date and time stamp. The other persons, besides the person we're interviewing, will be taken to another room while that interview is taking place. When we're finished with that person's interview, that person may remain in the boardroom if they so wish, and then we'll call the next person in for their interview. And we'll continue until we've gone through all 6 of our applicants. Once we have completed all 6 applications, I'm going to poll the board for their voice as to who they chose as, or would choose as their top person for the position. And we'll go down through each person and at a point which is appropriate, we'll call for a nomination and a roll call vote for the person to be appointed as our 9th board member to this Board of School Directors. Any questions from our candidates? Yes, sir.
One being absent, she's listening in. Will she get a vote?
Yes, sir. Anything else, Dr. Dalton?
No.
How will she submit her?
She'll be on the phone.
She's
Okay.
watching. It's live stream.
Okay,
And then she'll call in to voice vote.
okay. I do have one question for when we go to voting, can we write down our votes to submit to the president to read how each member voted so we're not influencing each other with our votes as we go down the line? Do you follow what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Because by the time you get to 5, you've nullified the last 4. If we all submit our votes when it comes time to vote to the president so he can read them, we haven't interacted with each other in that manner.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it has to be a verbal vote. I mean,
We
technically.
used to have slips of paper that we.
Right, that's what I mean.
And we were told we can't do that.
Could we submit them and then we could reaffirm what we said they've been entered? I mean, I don't know, just a
think
consideration, I
I
thought.
went through this process twice myself, and literally it was, who has this person in their it was,
Yeah.
we raised our hand, but it was everybody could see it. So,
Oh, a hand raise with a verbal? Yeah, that's another way to,
Yeah.
Yeah, so tonight, the goal would be to just get a sense of where people are. And then if there is 5, then there would be the motion in the second. But if there's, 3-2, knowing that, well, we haven't reached a majority yet, so that would be more about deliberation. So it's just the first time around is to get a sense of, are people's first choice
so that's not actually the nomination? when you-
correct?
okay.
It is just a sense
I
of
gotcha.
where are we here, rather than doing a nomination, whoever gets that nomination first is there going to be 5, and whoever, the second nomination is
Okay.
there going to be 5. So it'll be slightly different than the last time.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we all good? Okay.
Another question.
Oh,
Because that all happened with the president at that all back in the room at one time.
After
Yes.
all the interviews have been done, yes.
Yes.
Okay, that being said, our first interviewee is Mr. Gelsinger. So Dan will escort the rest of you to another room. And Keith, you may take the hot seat.
Now
Who's-
you got
Mr.
your
Gelsey?
application in first.
On the front, you'll see a little, could you push that till that turns green, please, so the community at home can hear you?
Close, very close to the top of the little button.
Yeah, the top of the feet.
There you go.
Live.
Give me a microphone. That's the worst thing to do.
I mean, his wife.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Sorry.
That's all right, all right. All right, good evening. I'm going to start here. Our first question, what do you perceive to be the responsibilities of a local school board?
The biggest responsibility for a school board member is just representing the kids, the community, the taxpayers, the teachers, in all aspects of everything that they experience throughout their time in this district.
Okay, all right. Second question, what is it about serving as a board member that would give you the greatest satisfaction?
The greatest satisfaction as a board member, I would have to say just the opportunity to make decisions for my daughter who's in the district right now, my wife who is an employee of the district right now, as well as all of the taxpayers in our district. Trying to, again, make decisions not on my own personal opinion, but on behalf of what I would believe is the opinion of the majority of the people in this school district.
Okay, okay, thank you. How do you view your role as one member of a 9-member board?
Well, I mean, anytime you're working with obviously 8 other people or 9 other people, you got to be willing to compromise and make decisions for the greater good for everybody and not trying to be the one person that is strong arming everybody into one opinion, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. If you're contacted by a parent or guardian or a community member with a question relating to the district, a school building, or a student, what would your response be?
Depends on what it is, first of all. I mean, I really don't know the legality of a lot of the things. And I mean, I'd have to look at the experience on the current board to find out what I'm allowed to say, first of all, and then try to make sure that if I'm giving my personal opinion, to ensure that the person understands that that's my personal opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of the entire school board or the entire school district.
Okay, okay. I believe, Matt, you had a question or two?
So I have 2 questions for you, Mr. Gesslinger. First, approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the past 12 months? What were the agenda items that drove you to do so?
The agenda items have no driving force for me to come here. I try to attend every board meeting as long as I'm available. I mean, obviously if my daughter's sick or she has a sporting event or something to support my wife, if I'm available, I make myself available to come, whether, or unless I forget, or I put it on my calendar wrong.
Okay,
So I try to be here at every board meeting, whether I'm available or not.
to several, okay. The first date to file to be elected to the position was yesterday. Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
Yes, I've already got all my signatures that I need, and I'm still looking for more. So if anybody's interested in signing my petitions, I asked my wife to bring one with her tonight, but she didn't. So I will be sending them around shortly. So to me, this opportunity really is an opportunity for the next 7 months to get some experience with experienced board members. I'm running no matter what. If I'm on the seat, then great. If not, I'll sit in the stands and support the current board as best as I can. And obviously throw curveballs at you every now and then, like I always do.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Is there anything else, excuse me, is there anything else that you would like the board to know about you or your interest in this board seat?
No, I think everybody here knows my opinion of why I'm here and what I intend to represent in the best of my abilities. We're not always going to agree. I've said that from day one, and we're not always going to disagree. So that's a good thing.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Anybody else? Have anything? Okay, sir.
That's
You
it?
are, yes, sir.
That's it.
You may,
Painless.
you may take a back seat.
let me leave this on. For
Yeah,
now?
you may.
Yeah, please.
Please.
All right, who's next? I can send them in.
Dan's gonna go get him. You may stay in the room if you'd like.
I can?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, this is Mustard. Yep. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yes.
That's what I would have. You can ask. What'd she say? That's what we think. Yeah, that's
Yeah, they're supposed to be in the order.
right.
Have a seat at our little table there.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start the questioning.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, I'll do all the questioning what do you perceive to be the responsibilities of the local school board?
To educate all the children, all 4,000 of them roughly, and to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money.
Okay, thank you. What is it about serving as a board member that would give you the greatest satisfaction?
It would be the collaborative effort of having a positive influence on the children of the school district to achieve a positive outcome in their education for the future.
Okay, anything else? That's,
That covers it.
okay, all right. How do you view your role as one member of a 9-member board?
To keep an open mind, to listen carefully to others' opinions, have thoughtful discussion, try to learn from the other 8, from their background, their ideas.
Okay.
Mhm.
If you are contacted by a parent, a guardian, or a community member with regard to a question relating to the district, a school building, or a student,
Mhm.
what would your response be?
Well, to answer them, of course, as honestly as possible. And if I did need to get further detail to give them an answer, I would reach out to other board members. I'm not sure what your exact process is there.
Sure. Okay. Matt has a question or two for you.
Sure.
Good evening, Ms. Musser.
Good evening.
Approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the past 12 months? And were What were the agenda items that drove you to do so?
Okay. I honestly did not attend any
Okay.
board meetings in the past 12 months.
Okay. And my other question would be, the first date to file to be elected to the position was yesterday. Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
Um, I don't have an exact answer on that. When will your decision be made?
The answer, our decision will be made tonight as to
Oh, that's
who's-
right. You told me that. Uh, No, I will not be filing.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my
thank you.
questions.
And I have one more.
Sure.
Is there anything else that you would like the board to know about you or your interest in this board seat?
I guess I would just say that I think that there
Bless you.
really is nothing more important than education. And just that that depends on citizens being willing to do the job to serve.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right then. Board members, okay? Okay. Sylvia, you
All
may take a seat in the back of the room if you'd like.
Okay.
And our next candidate is Mr. Bale. Hot seat is yours, sir.
Well, I'll take it. Try not to break the chair.
I don't think there's a problem there.
That's my goal for the night.
Well, success has been made.
Yes,
There
thank
go.
you. So far.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'll be asking the questions, and we'll start with the first one. What do you perceive to be the responsibilities of the local school board?
Well, quite a lot of things, I suppose. One, a big undertaking, sort of shouldering the responsibilities of the students and faculty, administration, and I guess the taxpayers, ultimately that, probably have a lot to say. I would say making sure, probably the biggest thing to me would be making sure that teachers, faculty have the tools and the resources that they need, to do their job, to educate the students and to provide the best education that they can.
I apologize. We do have the session live streamed, and I overlooked our current candidate is Matthew Bale. Next question is, what is it about serving as a board member that would give you the greatest satisfaction?
For me, it was just being able to help sort of give back to the school district that I got quite a lot from, sort of helping to carry on. I don't want to call it a legacy, but I have a lot of pride in the school, a lot of pride that in what I did while I was there, and what my relatives did while they were here, and what my grandparents did way back in 1959. Before this school, officially opened. So I have a lot of pride in that. And there's a lot of tradition there that I'd like to, just to continue to carry on and make it as good as I possibly can, however I can do so.
Okay, thank you. How do you view your role as one member of a 9-member board?
Well, I think, it's whatever I can bring that might be a little different than, than other members, or not even necessarily different, but how I see things and my experiences and the learnings and things that I went through that I can bring that might bring a different viewpoint, or a backing of some other people's, views as well. And just whatever I can do to kind of help collaborate and work with everyone to, towards a common goal or a common good for the district.
Okay. If you're contacted by a parent, a guardian, or a community member with a question relating to the district, a school building, or a student, what would be your response?
Just to any general question, or
Yeah, sure.
I guess my response would be that, making sure first that it came through the proper methods of communication. I'm sure you have policies in place and things for those types of questions, so that people aren't just sort of talking out of turn or things like that. And then reviewing that here at a meeting and making sure that, the proper answers, that I'm, saying the proper things and giving the correct information back. Say that.
Okay, all right, good. And Matt has a question for you.
Thank you, Ray. Mr. Bailey, approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the past 12 months? What were the agenda items that drove you to do so?
In the past 12 months, not zero.
Okay. And the first date to file to be elected to this position was yesterday. Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, board? Okay. Matt, you are welcome to, oh, I'm sorry. I did, is there anything else that you would like the board to know
Oh.
about you or your interest in this, board seat?
I don't think anything additional to what I put on the application, just that, this is something I've considered for a few years. And I thought the opportunity to sort of step in would be a good one. I've talked to some other teachers and faculty about, the idea that I had to run and kind of throw my name in. And it just seemed like a good time, with some young children that are going to be students here, and before I know it. So it just seemed like kind of the right time to do that and to be able to be part of something bigger and help out when I can.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah,
Much
absolutely.
appreciated.
Thank you.
Can we have a seat in the gallery there, if you will? Mr. Zimmerman.
Yeah. It's like church. No one sits in the front.
Or comedy, right?
Right.
Yes, Tom.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Okay, for the benefit of those watching live stream, our current candidate is Thomas Zimmerman. And I'll be asking the questions.
Okay, Mr. Mummer.
What do you perceive to be the responsibilities of our local school board?
As I explained on the or part of the application is we're responsible to make sure that every child who is an attendee of the Southwest School District has a qualified and well-rounded education. no matter what direction that child decides to go in life.
Okay. Care to elaborate anymore?
Um,
You don't have
I
to.
think we also have, obviously, we have to watch and protect the taxpayers' money. And part of the board's responsibility is to spend money as wisely as possible. I think that's about it for right now.
Okay, all right. What is it about serving as a board member that would give you the greatest satisfaction?
Speaking from the past, as everyone, some of you know, I have been on the board for 16 years. And I think that the most greatest feeling is the night of graduation. And you're sitting there and you're watching the young students walk across, get their diploma, and face their future, hopefully with all the requirements that they need to fulfill their life.
Okay. How do you view your role as one member of a 9-member board?
You have to be a team player. No one can do this individually. We have to discuss pros and cons, and then as a group, make the best educated decision for both the student and the district.
Okay, okay. If you're contacted by a parent, a guardian, or community member with a question relating to the district, a school building, or a student, what would be your response?
That there is a procedure, and that normally procedure would be is I would recommend that they would first start with the teacher and see how things go. If they're not satisfied, then to the principal, and hopefully then they can meet with the teacher and the principal and themselves. If at that point they're still not satisfied, they have the superintendent, who would be the next person in line. And then if he or she, whoever is in that position at that time, does not satisfy, the final stop would be the school board. And they can come and discuss the situation at the school board level.
Okay. Okay. This, Matt has a couple questions for you.
Thank you, Ray. Approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the past 12 months? And what were the agenda items that drove you to do so?
In the last 12 months, virtually, does that count? I mean, once a month. And mostly the planning, because to me, that's the meat of the board type of thing. And then I have attended two physically.
Okay.
Okay.
And my second question, sir, is the first date to file to be elected to this position was yesterday. Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
One more time, please.
Sure. The first date to file to be elected to this position was yesterday.
Mhm.
Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
Yes, my forms are already filled out, and I'm just waiting to go around and get the signatures
Okay.
on the petition.
Thank you, sir.
Okay?
One more question. Actually, is there anything else that you would like the board to know about you or your interest in this board seat?
It was it was a decision for me to come back. I don't take it lightly. My main focus is, and I think everyone who served with me knows that we're here to guarantee that our students have the best education because they're our future. They are what's going to be the rulers when we're not here. And if we do not provide for them the quality education, then we didn't succeed. And that's teachers, administration, school board. So, thank you.
Okay. All right, Tom, thank you. You may have a seat in another area of the room if you like. Our next candidate is Mr. Beal. John Beal, I think it is. Okay, for the benefit of those watching live stream, our current candidate is Mr. John Beal. John, my first question is, what do you perceive to be the responsibilities of our local school board?
Well, there's obviously tremendous amount of responsibilities from financial, et cetera, but I think the number one is the preparation of the student for their future. And if their student future is McDonald's or the Marines or Harvard, they need to be prepared for each one of those.
Okay. What is it about serving as a board member that would give you the greatest satisfaction?
I mean, some of you probably read the application. I mean, it's rather simple as I think it should be at this point. I've definitely served the community in many ways for many, many years, probably since the early 90s when I started coaching. I just think it's a great time in my life where my children are at, where I can give the time that would be necessary. But I think about a couple things that could be exciting, which would be to interact with a lot of kids that I've already coached or know. I have kids in high school and middle school, maybe to have that opportunity to hand somebody their diploma that I've known since the day they were born because I was a graduate and their parents were, and we've known each other and, that whole song and dance. But those types of things would give me personal satisfaction.
Okay, all right. Okay, next question is, how do you view your role as one member of a 9-member board?
How do you view your role? Obviously, everyone's vote is equal. There's a lot more entailed, obviously, in the school board that I know at this moment. So I'm sure there are lots of things that need to be learned. But I've thought about a question similar to this for some time. And the question is, can one person make a difference? So my thought is can I make a difference? So I would definitely like the opportunity to be on the board to do such.
Okay. If you were contacted by a parent or guardian or a community member with a question that's relating to the district, a school building, or a student, what would your response be?
asking a question on a question, I mean, obviously, I think there's some guidelines that school board members have, right? So is that something that the school board permits or doesn't permit? So that would be my first question back to the board is, if it's something I could speak in generalities, sure, why not? If it's something this board does not want to happen, then that would be what I would do.
Okay. Matt has a question or two for you.
Evening, Mr. Beal. Thank you for your attendance today
Thanks, Matt.
and your submission. Approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the past 12 months? And what were the agenda items that drove you to do so?
You know, I think I may have missed one or two over the last 12 months. I'm not exactly sure, but I definitely know after I came out of I got fortunate enough to be on the classroom size committee. It gave me the interest to want to attend. And I'll be honest, I didn't have a specific reason other than to attend, to learn more about the process, and then to see, is this something when this day came that I really want to do or not? You know, what's it like to be a face up front? What are some of the questions that come to you as the board from the public? Obviously, I don't know a lot that happens behind the scenes, but really it was just nothing other specific other than to get more involved and see if I saw myself wanting to sit at this table.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the last question I have is, the first date to file to be elected to this position was yesterday. Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
It's my intention.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have one more. Is there anything else that you would like the board to know about you or your interest in this board seat?
I wrote in here, and I kind of keep it very simple. I work with a lot of great people. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I look at life as, even though I made a comment about can one person make a difference, where I work, it takes everybody to get the job done. Obviously, that happens here. So I had a buddy who was an English major kind of look over. I'm like, man, I'm terrible at grammar. Last thing I want to do is go in front of a bunch of teachers and administrators and put a wrong comment. And he said, you know, you answered the questions direct, okay? There wasn't a lot of fluff, but there's one I would add some fluff to. I was a graduate of this school. I've been attending events, plays, sports, whatever it is, forever. I've lived in this district 41 of my 47 years. My kids have all gone here. I took the opportunity to move back in once my wife was pregnant. And I just think it would be great for the way that I felt as a child and even older in life now about my memories of this school. And I think that the school is doing a great job, and I want to be a part of making sure that it continues to.
Okay, sir. All right, that is all of the questions I have for you. You may have a seat in the room there somewhere. And our next candidate is Emmeline Black. I'm not quite sure about that first name, but I'll find out. And for the benefit of those listening via live stream, our next candidate is Emmeline Black. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah, thank you.
Okay, my first question to you is, what do you perceive to be the responsibilities of a local school board?
Well, I think it's a delicate balance between trying to represent both the needs of the students as well as the staff and as well as the community. I think you have to think about all aspects of when making a decision. It's not just one that takes precedence over the other. It's not just employment and education, but it's also the needs of our local community as well.
Okay. What is it about serving as a board member that would give you the greatest satisfaction?
Well, I believe I also mentioned in my application, but my oldest daughter is going to be starting kindergarten in the district this fall. So I want to be able to participate on the school board and represent both her interests as well as the interests of the students in her class throughout her time in school. So for as long as I have the privilege to be on the board, I'd like to be able to do that.
Okay, the next is, how do you view your role as one member of a 9-member board?
Well, I mean, with each vote carrying equal weight, I would see my role as one of 9 and being able to represent, again, those same interests that I mentioned before, my own beliefs, but also the representation of the students as I perceive them, the district as I perceive them, our local community. But also I would see my role as participating within different committees on the board. Since I do have background in human resources, I have particular interest in participating on the personnel committee. And being able to have a greater influence over those areas that in which I have a personal knowledge that I could bring to the board.
Okay. If you were contacted by a parent or guardian or a community member with a question relating to the district, a school building, or a student, what would your response be?
Well, I guess it would depend on what the question was related to. Things that are public knowledge that are brought up within a meeting are obviously available for discussion. Things that would be discussed in executive session or that are things are within the board themselves wouldn't be discussed. I know frequently in my role, I'm often asked questions that I can't provide answers to due to confidentiality. So it's knowing what is public knowledge and what isn't and what I'm able to discuss at that time. But again, it would just depend on the nature of the question I'm being asked.
Okay, Matt has a question or two for you.
Thank you, Ray. Evening, Ms. Black.
Like a meeting.
Approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the past 12 months? What were the agenda items that drove you to do so?
I can't say specifically how many it's been over the last 12 months. I know especially during as we were dealing with coronavirus and whether it was distance learning versus in-person learning, I was very interested at that time. Again, for my own personal interest in knowing what my daughter was going to be experiencing when she entered the district and kind of getting a sense of that. And because of that, my family looked at what district we were going to live within when our daughter entered school. So in the last few months, we've made the commitment to remain in our current home, which puts us in the district. So that gave me more interest to begin to start coming to more meetings. And I usually watch them virtually. It's what's usually most convenient.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And my last question is, the first date to file to be elected to this position was yesterday. Are you filing to be elected by the people this November?
I haven't filed yet, but I do intend to.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have one more.
Sure.
Is there anything else that you would like the board to know about you or your interest in this board seat?
Nothing particular other than that I would really appreciate the opportunity to be able to be on the board. I do think that with my background and being able to, in human resources, I deal a lot with personnel committee, writing policies and having that type of influence. And so I think that that could be of value in a school board setting. Again, I also, as I mentioned in my application, when I started my HR career, it was within a school district. So I am familiar with the board and being able to present agenda items and participating in that way. So I just look forward to the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. You may have a seat in the gallery if they are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll give you a few minutes to browse over the applicants' answers to the interview questions, and after a few minutes, we'll take a poll vote to see who as their top potential candidate.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me, Vanessa? Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker. All right, and then I'll put you close to the microphone, so when you speak, they can hear you on the live stream as well, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Vanessa, we're just going over reviewing the answers to the questions that we had asked the candidates, and we'll be, shortly we'll be asking for a roll call vote from the members as to who they would choose to be their top candidate. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about that.
Not necessarily a roll call vote, just
Um,
like an understanding of who each person on the board deems as their first, the
Yeah.
person they would nominate.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, clarification, thank you.
Should use the word appoint to the board, not
Yes,
nominate.
that's true.
Saying it.
I think they'll be able to hear that, don't you?
Yeah, or just lift it.
Yeah.
And every time she's gonna talk, I'll just twist it down.
Okay. So has everyone reached a conclusion as to who? No? Okay.
Mr. Mummer,
Yes.
since we are doing this slightly differently than we did before, just for clarification purposes, when you ask us, are we to give you only the top person, our top three, top one?
Your top choice.
And are we allowed to give a reason, or is it just a name?
Yeah, no, you can give a reason.
Okay.
I mean, the point of the first rundown is just to get a sense of where you, as a board of 8 members, stand. And then if it, again, doesn't pan out to be a majority of 5 or more, then there will be discussion as, how we're gonna, I shouldn't say we, but how you will be selecting and making choices. So the first one is just to get a sense of where people are. So if you feel inclined to give a reason why, you could, but it's just to get a survey.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question, but I just want to understand what you're talking about. Is it going to be every single person will give a name and then you'll come back through? Or the first person to give a name, you're going to vote on that person and then go to the next name? It is not like last time. So it is just one name per person, just to like, I don't know, A, B, C, A, B, A, B, A, and is whoever has 5 A's, then we make then there would be a motion to actually vote the person, appoint the person, right? So, yeah. Thank you for the question. Sure.
Yes. Okay. Everybody good? Okay. I'm going to I'm gonna start here. Actually, I'm gonna start at the end of the table and work my way around. So I'm gonna ask Mr. Plessick for your person.
Keith.
Mandy?
Keith Kelsinger.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I also said Keith.
Sorry.
Cindy?
John Beal.
Matt?
Keith?
Jay?
I can't make this one without making a few comments in reference to my choice. Each of you are coming with unique backgrounds. Each of you have something to offer this position and to work alongside of us. I am very enthused at the fact that many of you have said that you have filed or you intend to file because you'll be running against me in November, and I look forward to that. I want you to know that the decision that I'm making for Mr. Zimmerman is because this is a temporary position through November, and it's filling this position of our most tenured board member, where we had that experience, we had that knowledge, we had that background, and that weighs very heavily on me. But that does not say that there aren't others of you that I think just as highly of.
Okay. The other Mandy?
I'll be completely honest. I'll be completely honest. This is a difficult decision. I was very impressed by all of the applications. I applaud you for your time and your effort. So with that being said, my choice would be Mrs. Musser.
I'm sorry?
Mrs. Musser.
Vanessa? I'm gonna call to you.
Okay, it's definitely a difficult decision, and it's encouraging to hear how many of the candidates are going to run. My choice is Tom.
Thank you, Vanessa. And back down to myself. As already stated, you're all very qualified to be on the board. But I'm just gonna cut to the chase, and my selection would be Tom Zimmerman. So at this point, we have 3 for Tom and 3 for Keith. Obviously, there's no majority. So at this point, I'm gonna defer to our solicitor. Duke it out.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's that somebody can make a motion to discuss in a second. I mean, it's not an actual vote, right? So just a motion to discuss the candidates, and, you know, the 8 of you can discuss. You know, I know, Ms. Weaver, you had asked to make a comment. You didn't yet. So each person can sort of go through and explain why, and we will engage in this process until we have 5. And I've done this before for a very long time.
I'll move to discuss then.
Okay.
We have a motion to discuss. Second by Jay Klausby. Okay, floor is open for discussions, comments. Mandy Weaver.
So what I wanted to say was I had 4, and this decision was extremely difficult for me because you're all very different people. Your applications are incredibly different. Your backgrounds are coming from all different walks of life. I am a huge proponent of volunteerism myself. So, Mr. Beal, you are a huge standout for that. I love everything that you have done. I think that Matthew, same thing. Emmeline, your HR background would be invaluable for us, but But that being said, we also have an HR team, not saying that they're not valuable. But because they are. But I think for me, one of the biggest things about school boards is school boards are supposed to be apolitical. And there are not any political parties listed on your applications. And I appreciate that that's not on there because I think that we need to be able to sit up here as 9 people and put that aside to make decisions for what is best for these kids. If we are all one direction on one thing, that's great. And if we have 4 to 5 on another, that's also great. That is how this society is supposed to work. If we are all this way or all that way, we don't accomplish things. And this first year sitting up here, I felt like we ran into that a lot, where you would have the community saying, well, what do you guys even do up there? Because it would just seem like we'd be all or nothing. So my choice for Keith comes from the fact that there are people that challenge me to think outside of what my locus of control and my comfort level is. I grow as a person when people challenge me. If I am comfortable, I don't grow. So I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says, and that's okay. And he doesn't agree with a lot of the things that we've done, and that's also okay. But I think that if we don't have both sides looking at what is best for 4,200 students in this district, then what are we doing? Because at the end of the day, it's not about what only I want for my children. It's about what I want for your children, what I want for the children to come 20 years from now, what I want for the district that's best, even if it doesn't align with my beliefs. And so I know that Mr. Gelsinger comes out as outspoken and he can come across as a bit gruff, but I think that's passion. And I am a huge proponent for passion because I think that passion makes a difference. So that's why I picked Keith.
Cindy.
Something. I just want to applaud all of you for coming to this and applying for the board. I also went through this process twice myself, as I said, and it is nerve-wracking and it is scary. It's a lot easier getting your name on a ballot, actually. So I sat down here and I'm like, oh my God, that would be great of this person and this would be great of that person. And I really hope you all do very well in the November primaries, or excuse me, the May primary on to November, because I think you all would be excellent for this board.
And bring those applications in so that we can help you get
the signatures
this
you need.
board.
That's all I would say.
Good. Matt?
So again, it is nerve wracking to do this. I appreciate all your guys' level of commitment to step forward to say, I am going to donate my time to our community to make this a better place. However, whether that agrees with my position or anyone else's here, the fact that you're willing to step forward and put in that time and commitment, that's what civic duty is about, and I applaud that. In looking at these applications, I saw a lot of good candidates too. There was one distinction that I make, and it's evidenced in the questions I asked, that really makes Keith stand out in my mind versus the others, and that is attending the board meetings and the willingness to step forward and to question. Keith has done that numerous times at board meetings, and it's not to take away from people who attended virtually, but that's the one distinction I would make, is the willingness to step forward and question vocally, why are we doing this? I'm very much in agreement with what you said, Mandy, is questioning and discussing, as I'm sure the board members are aware, I do that often, sometimes probably too much, but so that very much relates to where I stand on this. I think we should be asking these questions and having the discussions we've had, and that's why I believe he's the strongest candidate for this position. Thank you.
Anything else?
It's so difficult to come up with one when each of you has so much to offer. If you look at my paper, I've got 2 of you equal pretty much, and 3 of you very close behind. So you're all that much in the running in my mind. It's very, very difficult. My biggest concern as a board member is that we could potentially face very little, if any, experience on this board come November. I've seen what that has done to Dallastown in terms of having 5 to 6 brand-new members out of 9. So I weigh experience, I weigh commitment, and I weigh working along somebody that I already know what to expect. And that may be taking the safe route for some people, but for me, it's what I think is the best route at this time for this district to ensure that if the 5 of us that are running on the board in November are replaced, then the candidate that I put at the top of my list has the experience to be able to fill that void of all 5 of us. But other than that, each of you brings so much to this equation. You bring experience, you bring volunteerism, you bring commitment, you bring a willingness to stand up and speak. You bring a willingness to be able to bounce off when you don't like the answer that you've been told. And that means an awful lot. And I wish it was easier than this. I wish I could say all of you.
Mandy, you have anything? Rich, you have any comments you wish to?
Well, I did go through this process 3 times until I wore you guys down and you guys actually let me on the board. So I guess I don't want anyone to feel like you're, I think we really do value the fact that we get to have 6 people here, which is unusual, I think, for most school boards. I know when I first applied or had the interview, it was only 3 of us. And then it might have been like 6, and then it actually grew to like 10 or 12. It was pretty incredible then. I did pick Keith. Partially, I have, basically, he's been here through some of our turmoil and has shown, to find some common ground amongst some very, I wouldn't call it extreme, but differences of opinion over things. And I can appreciate that. And he has been present quite a bit, so I do have great respect for Tom. I, served on the board with Tom. He probably saw me interview a couple times, actually. So, and he would have a lot of, bring a lot of wisdom and experience. And everybody did interview very well. And I, can really basically appreciate that is really what I wanted to say. But so thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Vanessa, you still with us? Do you have some comments?
I am. I mean, I would just reiterate what I said and what many board members have said. There are incredibly qualified people in the room tonight. And again, it's very encouraging to know that most of you are running. I couldn't hear everyone's comments, every board member's comments, but I could hear Amanda Weaver's. And, it instantly, Amanda, when you were talking about that idea of everyone getting along and having the same viewpoint, I immediately thought about how many times Tom and I disagreed over the years. So I do want to say that, that's not the road that I seek when I vote for Tom. We definitely have differing opinions. So I just wanted to make that point.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. I actually don't have any additional comments to make myself. I'm gonna see where we go from here.
I mean, I guess there's 2 options. The one is to go down the line again and see if anyone has changed their mind. And then, or according to you, Mr. President, whether you'd want to go ahead and ask someone to make a nomination, but realizing that if there's a motion, I should say, a motion and a second, that if you as a board member do not want, you would not vote that person, you would not say yes to that, motion. But we could try again to see if anyone has changed their mind based on what was discussed and get a sense of where we're gonna go from here.
Okay. Let's go down the line one more time to see if anybody has changed the mind. Mr. Plessick,
Keith.
Mandy,
Keith.
Cindy,
Tom,
Matt,
Keith,
Mr. Klausby, Jay.
Tom.
Mrs. Jinks,
Mr. Zimmerman.
Vanessa, Mrs. Berger, do you have your choice?
Tom,
And my choice also remains to Tom. So at this point, we need a nomination to vote?
Yeah, I mean, as your tally, right, it would be, is it 5 and 3?
5 and 3.
Right, so there is a majority, so there is, I mean, make a motion, because it seems like there is a majority among the board members, and then so there would be a motion and a second for that person that is the majority, Mr. Zimmerman.
Okay. Hearing what Dr. Dalton said.
And then a roll call vote. I should say,
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Zimmerman as our,
To serve in the vacancy.
to serve in the vacant seat for the remainder of this term?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And now, Mr. Momer, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Berger,
yes.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Klausby,
Yes.
Mr. Galazella,
no.
Mr. Plessick,
No.
Mrs. Weaver,
No.
Mrs. Jinks,
Yes.
Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
5 yes, 3 no.
So, Mr. Zimmerman, it is you who will be filling the vacant seat that was vacated by Mrs. Rinker in her resignation or retirement for the remainder of her term. As the other members of, or the other folks who are here that applied, your desire to run for the seat again, and many of you have already indicated that you're going to. If you haven't yet picked up your forms, you can get them from the courthouse. You can also get them from the courthouse web or the county website. They're available there. As it's been alluded across the board here, that you're all very highly qualified. We wouldn't be making any kind of a mistake in any way, shape, or form with any one of you to come on and work with us on the board in the fall. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Zimmerman, you'll be officially sworn in, is what I was looking for, at our next board meeting. Being no other business, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Cindy? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you all for your participation and attendance. Hope to see you again in the next couple meetings.
We'll say it took much less time than I expected.
Same
The
here.
interviews are gonna take really long. I told my husband, he's like, how long do you think? I said, I don't know. Six people.
Well, that's what I was thinking, 15 minutes each.
But they- I feel like the first one, not the ones we did last year, took long, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
I just,